On the Delta Television News tonight, state government deploys all revenue earnings transparently to strengthen state development. State civil servants assured of government's full implementation of newly approved minimum wage. Federal government enjoins power companies to improve local content of their activities. Abroad, Philippines detect new case of monkeypox virus in the country. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Iyarowe. The monthly revenue earned by the Delta State government from the Federation accounts and the state's internally generated revenue, IGR, are deployed transparently to provide infrastructure and socioeconomic development across the state. The Chief Executive Officer of the Delta State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, who stated this in an interview with journalists, said the clarification followed allegations and fake news in the social media in connection with the state's financial earnings and the execution of projects. He said Governor Sheriff Oborewori had been publicly commended by credible organizations and prominent Deltans for prudently managing the state's resources. Dr. Ogenesiwe said completed and ongoing road infrastructure projects in the state were second to none in Nigeria, and advocated constructive criticism to further challenge the governor to deliver more quality projects and services to the people. He noted that the increase in federal revenue allocations to the state and internally generated revenue had been fractured by inflation, which rose from about 20% in April 2023 to between 30% and 36% in the past 14 months, and which automatically gave rise to high cost of governance, construction materials, and equipment. Over 700 persons have benefited from the Odoziani Ezine Free Medical Outreach. The outreach, held at Ibabu Community on Ichukwani in Ndokwa West local government area. Perebotu brings us details.
The medical outreach attended by the state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, saw young and old persons benefiting from the free treatment. They waited patiently to be attended to by a team of medical experts. In an interview, the wife of the deputy governor, Ezine Catherine Oyeme, who initiated the program, said the gesture was designed to take quality health to the grassroots who may not have access to standard medical treatment. She said the medical outreach was born out of the need to ensure a healthy society at the grassroots. Ezine Oyeme noted that herself having gone through successful surgery with the help of God, she promised to appreciate God and to reach out to the grassroots with free medical treatment for persons who were not privileged to access hospitals for treatment. She said doctors would treat and provide drugs for malaria, high blood pressure, ulcer, diabetes, waist pain, and eye care, among others. Ezine Oyeme urged Deltans to give attention to their health through regular check-up to know their health status. She said prevention was better than cure, as early detection of any health challenge could be handled before it becomes, and commended the people for the large turnout.
They should always visit hospital for checkups so that the earlier they discover what their illness is, the better. And they say prevention is better than cure.
A consultant ophthalmologist at the General Hospital Oshimili South, Dr. Agogo Akpe, who led the team of medical experts, said tests indicated that some of the patients had glaucoma, with some reaching irreversible blindness, while others had diabetes, high blood pressure, low blood sugar, ulcer, malaria, among others.
So far, we've seen a lot of people that need reading glasses, and we've also seen people that have glaucoma, which is a cause of irreversible blindness, and also cataract, which is reversible if we have surgical intervention.
She said they were treated and given drugs free of charge. Some of the beneficiaries thanked Ezine Catherine Oyeme for bringing the medical outreach to their doorstep.
Thank the deputy governor and wife for this kind of gesture, this kind of kindness, and by to us. We are grateful. We thank him. God continue to lead him, to help him more, to do more for us. Greet him, greet madam for me. Like stomach pain and the knee and this waist pain. That is why they made our head that something concerning medical is going on here. So I come for treatment, and they have treated me freely.
You must agree, I'm very fine. I'm from Madame Osegwe meeting.
Earlier, the wife of the deputy governor, joined by her husband, Sir Monday Oyeme, had appreciated God in a thanksgiving. I am Pere Botu reporting.
Civil servants in the state have been assured of government's commitments to the full implementation of the newly approved minimum wage. The state chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Goodluck Ofobruku, made this known while speaking with journalists during the 5th edition of Journalist Hangout from Pali to Party, held at the Press Center in Asaba. Caroline Ubini completes the report.
Comrade Ofobruku said Governor Sheriff Oborewoli had expressed determination to start the implementation of the new minimum wage, adding that the template for the payment of junior workers had been prepared. He said the fuel subsidy removal had badly affected civil servants, hence the increment on workers' salaries. The Labour leader stated that the take-home of an average civil servant was not enough to meet needs and encouraged workers to go into farming as an alternative source of income. The state NLC chairman explained that the organized labor was working to make life better for workers and urged journalists to get appropriate information on workers' issues before publication. He therefore urged workers to jettison the rumor that another perimeter would be used for the payment of the new wage.
But let me assure workers in Delta State that the state government will pay the arrears effect from the date it is approved.
On the issue of pensioners, Comrade Ofobruku said the state government had almost cleared the backlog of old retirees and commended Governor Oborewoli for keeping his promises on the matter. He encouraged pensioners and workers in active service to carefully choose the company that would manage their pensions to avoid regrets in the future.
Basic is 70,000. Your pension and other entitlements that you're supposed to get is calculated based on your basic. And those states cleverly does it. They increase allowances. Today, when they calculate their pension, is that 18,000 minimum wage of 2011. It is not even the 30,000 minimum wage. So when we want to seek praises of some other states, let us get to the root of the matter, the bottom of the matter, before we begin to call them. Because some of the things they do, we cannot even allow it to be done in Delta State. So, as of now, what we are doing in Delta State is in the best interest of workers.
The state chairman of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Comrade Martins Bolum, and the secretary of the State Bureau of Pensions, Comrade Lawson Efenidu, noted that workers' welfare would not be sidelined as policies that would better their lives had always been championed by the labor leaders.
Time the ruling class or employers try to put down the worker, it's you and I they are putting down. Our people are trying. We must say it the way it is. So I will encourage you to continue to assist us. The NUJ in Delta State has been very wonderful.
And we commenced payment of retirees in 2011. And that is to tell you the efforts, the way the labor leaders can go sometime.
The state chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, Comrade Churchill, said the forum would enable media practitioners get first-hand information from stakeholders to enable them provide the people with accurate information. Comrade Oyowe commended the labor leaders for clarifying issues raised by the journalists.
Training is an opportunity to unwind and socialize. It is also a platform to engage meaningful discussions that impact our roles as journalists and the broader society.
Caroline Ubini reporting.
The Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SNB, of over 6 decades after its inception, with the vision to advocate for broadcast conference, held its first ever national conference, marking a historic milestone. The two-day conference, organized in collaboration with the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, and the Broadcast Media Africa, saw the gathering of legends of the broadcast industry in Abuja to brainstorm on issues centered on broadcasting and political economy of content production in the digital age, the Nigerian perspective. Eunice Emeazia reports.
A general meeting of members held, where new members took oaths of office, pledging to promote the interests, aims and objectives of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SNB.
To foster the development of the society in all ways necessary, and to continue to discharge my responsibility as a member of society. So help me God.
The event featured panel discussions where the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University Kashere in Gombe State, Professor Umar Pat, harped on the need for all to understand the dynamic nature of broadcasting, especially an ownership and system of operation, adding that as a body, members must have a clearly defined line of operation.
There are many operators of online broadcasting who make it private. So it's not just by using legal force or brutal engagement, but rather it should be through some systematic, friendly engagement for us to operate as a society.
In an interview, the National Director of the SNB, Dr. Yemisi Bamoshe, expressed satisfaction that the body had taken off on a good note 62 years after its establishment, and thanked those who worked to make the event possible. Dr. Bamoshe called on the new members to work to actualize the objectives of the SNB. The General Manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, Mrs. Christine Emetulu, and her Delta Rainbow Television DRTV Warri counterpart, Mr. Malcolm Otiri, said the conference was enlightening, stressing that traditional media operators should take advantage of the online media space and design programs that will capture the interest of youths.
Now, this is something we've already started going into, particularly after one of the recommendations in this SNB media conference is to increase the funds that are invest into the digital space as far as the broadcasting service is concerned. Because that is where the audience, the target is at mind. We get how persons trained as well as ICT and digital broadcasting is concerned at this mature time. And in terms of content generation, we're also going to be designing programs that have to do with the youth, which is a huge catchment of the eyes that we want to be on medium at this mature time. As I say, it is where the eyes are and revenue will come from.
And there was a statement that was made there. How do you provide digital equipment for analog staff? So digital equipment, yes, we have to get it. Another challenge will be bringing the staff to get to know how to use digital equipment. That's another area of challenge. And then also getting my staff to get used to the social media, something that I have to work on. Every staff now has to be the social media marketer of the station, besides the station itself.
The event featured election of new executive and a red carpet session, while special awards were presented in different categories to recognize some persons who have contributed their quota to the development of the country. The idea and efforts to establish the Society of Nigerian Broadcasting dated back to 1962 by the late Ambassador Segun Olushola and was handed over to Ambassador Yemi Farumbi in 1978. It was duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission on March 3, 1994, with 4 directors, but only 2, Chief Yemi Farumbi and Elder Diran Orekunri, are alive today. Eunice Emeazia reporting.
The federal government has called on power companies operating in Nigeria to improve the local content of their activities to enhance sustainability. The Minister of Power, Chief Afe Adelabu, made a call during a facility tour of MBH Power Limited at the weekend in Mowe, Ogun State. He urged the firm to implement a formal integration plan to improve the local content of its activities and engage more Nigerians in its operations to promote job creation and boost the overall economic activity of the country. Chief Adelabu expressed excitement about the company's foray into renewable energy, stating this would expand energy access to rural areas where less than 50% are connected to the national grid. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has slated Thursday to Sunday 8th September for the collection of permanent voter cards, PVCs, in Edo State ahead of the September 21 governorship election. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, disclosed this today in Abuja during a meeting with resident electoral commissioners, RECs. He said the commission would, as usual, not deal with proxies, as only valid registrants will be given their PVCs. Professor Yakubu said, following the conclusion of the last continuous voters registration, CVR, in Edo and Ondo states, the commission published the figures of new registrants for the two states, following the cleanup of the register. For Edo State, 119,206 new voters were registered. In addition, 8,847 voters transferred their registration from other states of the Federation to Edo State, while 46,171 voters transferred their registration from one part of the state to another. The INEC chairman said the commission has developed a register containing, among other information, the names and photographs of the 184,438 voters to ease the collection of their PVCs. He said the commission was working on the schedule for the collection of PVCs in Ondo State. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called on state governments to place more priority on agricultural development, saying that until Nigeria can feed itself, it will continue to be a nation sitting on a time bomb. Chief Obasanjo gave the advice when a delegation of commissioners and special advisors from Niger State visited him in Abeokuta over the weekend. He noted that with modern agricultural equipment now available, the impact of agricultural initiatives can be greater than the projects of the past. The visit included a tour of a cutting-edge solar farm where youth from Niger State were undergoing training in innovative agricultural techniques for eventual replication in Niger State. The former president applauded the Niger State governor's effort in transforming the agricultural sector in the state, adding that Governor Umaru Bago's agricultural initiatives can be likened to his own Operation Feed the Nation policy of 1976. He said that agricultural self-sufficiency would improve the socio-economic well-being of the people and called on other state governors to follow the Niger State's lead in agricultural development to ensure that Nigeria can produce the majority of its food. The Nigerian army said it has deployed troops in several of the northern states to protect farmers with the commencement of the rainy season. A statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the deployment was made particularly in the northwest and north-central states. According to him, the move has since enabled several farmers access farm for a hitch-free planting season towards a bumper harvest. This is as the country battles food shortages, which have worsened the food inflation put at over 40% by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Nigeria's inflation figure reached a new high, hitting 34.19% in June 2024, before declining to 33.40% in July, according to the data from NBS Consumer Price Index. In a strong push to reclaim outstanding debts, the chairman of the House Representatives Committee on Banking and Ancillary Institutions, Honorable Eze Nwachukwu Eze, has called for an intensified nationwide effort to support the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, in its debt recovery mandate. Honorable Eze emphasized the urgent need for all federal agencies to join forces in the recovery of nearly 5 trillion naira owed to AMCON would not only boost the revenue of President Bola Tinubu's administration, but also ensure the successful delivery of the promises made to Nigerians under the Renewed Hope agenda. Honorable Eze, who led the committee's retreat attended by AMCON's leadership and management, urged the debt management or the debt recovery agency, currently led by Mr. Gbenga Alade, to adopt a more forceful approach, ensuring that no obligor, regardless of status, escapes accountability. In a statement by Mr. Jude Onzo, AMCON's head of corporate communications, Honorable Eze reinforced that AMCON must remain undeterred by the influence or position of any debtor and should persistently pursue their assets. The lawmaker further highlighted that AMCON's new leadership must face the reality of debt recovery head-on, acknowledging that the process is challenging and should not be influenced by the social standing of debtors. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, has debunked a report claiming that it owes international oil traders $6.8 billion. Responding to allegations against the company in a statement, the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Mr. Olufemi Shoneye, also refuted claims that the NNPCL has not remitted funds into the Federation account since January. Mr. Shoneye, however, acknowledged that it is normal to owe at one point or the other, since the oil trading business transactions are carried out on credit. The federal government has begun implementation of the recommendations of the investigative panel it set up on January 9 to investigate phony universities selling fake educational credentials to Nigerians. The 12-member investigative panel, which was chaired by the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Maiduguri and Chairman, Board of Trustees of the Committee of Vice Chancellors, Professor Jibrila Amin, had made far-reaching recommendations in its report submitted to the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Education. Some key recommendations of the panel, which also had the Acting Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC, Dr. Chris Meyaki, as member, were enforcement of quarterly submission of admission lists by institutions after matriculation and the compulsory conduct of admissions by tertiary institutions through the Central Admissions Processing System, CAPS, of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. In compliance with the panel's recommendations, the government has written the institutions directing them to regularly submit the admission lists to JAMB not more than 3 months after matriculation. Professor Maman, in a circular dated July 15, directed JAMB to enforce the recommendations. The federal government has threatened to sanction higher institutions that fail to submit lists of students admitted immediately after matriculation. This was revealed in a memo titled Clarification on Disclosure of Admitted Candidates Outside CAPS by the JAMB Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. The initiative, according to JAMB's Public Communications Advisor, Mr. Fabian Benjamin, was one of the recommendations made by a committee set up by the federal government to combat fake degree racketeering in the country. According to the memo, institutions are to regularly submit their matriculation lists to the Federal Ministry of Education not later than 3 months after matriculation ceremonies. The list is expected to be submitted through the dedicated channel of JAMB. The development comes after the federal government set up an inter-ministerial investigative committee on degree certificate milling to probe the activities of certificate racketeers following the exposure of the activities of fake degree mills in the Republic of Benin. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Still to come, Philippines detect new case of monkeypox virus in the country. Details of this and other reports after this short break.
Of how TomTom gave me confidence.
You left so many words unsaid.
How will I face this crowd? With TomTom, no Lily. Let's do this.
Stay confident and stay focused. Breathe for it with TomTom.
Welcome back to the Delta Television main news. The world scene is next, or the global scene is next as we join our world news desk. Stay with us.
The Philippines has detected a new case of the Mpox virus in the country, the first since December last year, its health department said today, adding that it was awaiting test results before it could be able to determine the strain. The Department of Health said the patient was a 33-year-old Filipino male who had no travel history outside the Philippines. The World Health Organization on Wednesday last week declared Mpox a global public health emergency, its highest form of alert, following an outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo that had spread to neighboring countries. A new form of the virus has triggered global concern as it seemed to spread easily through routine close contacts. Earlier, a case of the new variant was confirmed on Thursday in Sweden and linked to a growing outbreak in Africa, the first sign of its spread outside the continent. Pakistan on Friday also confirmed at least one case of the Mpox virus in a patient who had returned from a Gulf country, but said they did not yet know the strain of the virus. The new case in the Philippines is the 10th laboratory-confirmed case the health department has detected. The disease caused by the monkeypox virus leads to flu-like symptoms and pus-filled lesions. It is usually mild but can kill, with children, pregnant women, and people with weakened immune systems, such as those with HIV, all at higher risk of complications. South Korea and the United States has kicked off annual summertime military exercises today, seeking to boost their joint readiness to fend off North Korea's weapons cyber threats. The Uchi Freedom Shield exercises, set to end on August 29, came as North Korea raced to advance its nuclear and missile programs and tried to launch reconnaissance satellites. The two countries' militaries have said the drills will reflect realistic threats across all domains, including the North's missile threats, but also GPS jamming, cyber attacks, and other lessons learned from recent incidents. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has urged thorough readiness posture against North Korea, saying about 19,000 South Korean troops will take part, similar to last year, with 48 rounds of combined field training, including field maneuver, live fire, and amphibious exercises to be held. Seoul and Washington said the exercises are defensive and a response to the North's threats. Thousands of Indian junior doctors today refused to end protests over the rape and murder of a fellow medic. disrupting hospital services nearly a week after they launched a nationwide action demanding a safer workplace and swift criminal probe. Doctors across the country have held protests and declined to see non-emergency patients following the August 9 killing of the 31-year-old medic, who police said was raped and murdered at a hospital in the eastern city of Kolkata, where she was a trainee. A police volunteer has been arrested and charged with the crime. Women activists said the incident has highlighted how women in India continued to suffer from sexual violence, despite tougher laws brought in after the 2012 gang rape and murder of a 23-year-old student on a moving bus in New Delhi. The government...
The police council on October 31 confirmed Mr. Egbetokun as a substantive IGP. However, uncertainty clouds his retirement date due to a recent amendment to the Police Act. This executive bill, passed by the National Assembly in July 2024, allows the President to extend the IGP's tenure beyond 35 years of service or 60 years of age, enabling the IGP complete a 4-year term. Since the President has yet to sign the bill into law, tensions are mounting within the Police High Command. President Tinubu is currently on a brief work stay in France, with details of how long he would be away unmentioned. Officers from the ranks of Commissioners of Police, CPs, Assistant Inspectors General, AIGs, and Deputy Inspectors General, DIGs, are now lobbying intensely for the top position. Sources within the police indicate that if the President does not sign the amendment, Mr. Egbetokun would be required to retire as scheduled. On the other hand, if the amendment is signed into law, the President could extend Mr. Egbetokun's tenure. However, there is ongoing debate about whether the amendment should be applied retroactively to Mr. Egbetokun. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has condemned the kidnapping of 20 medical students who were abducted in Otukpo, Benue State, while en route to the annual convention of the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students in Enugu. According to a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Dejobi, IGP Egbetokun described the act as truly appalling, callous, and unacceptable. The statement said, in a display of unwavering commitment to the rescue, safety, and well-being of the young Nigerians, the IGP has ordered the prompt deployment of a substantial number of human and technical resources to augment the manpower of the Benue State Command and ensure swift rescue of the beloved students. The statement added that this is and feed IRT, the deployment of advanced helicopters and drones, as well as the use of specialized tactical vehicles to facilitate the search and rescue, secure the safe return of the victims. The Nigeria Police Force said it stands with the victims and their loved ones during their challenging time and is committed to ensuring the safe return of the students. The Inspector General of Police reiterated the zeal of the command to leave no stone unturned in the pursuit of the perpetrators and others alike as the Nigerian fight against crimes and criminality, most especially kidnapping of Nigerians. The IGP equally appealed to the general public to provide useful information and actionable. The opening ceremony of the 7-weekend training program for senior management staff of the Delta State Civil Service, organized by the Office of the Head of Service, has been scheduled to hold on Friday, August 23, 2024. A statement signed by the Director of Public Communication, Functioning Permanent Secretary, Theresa Adiabwa Oliko, says officers affected are expected to be seated by 8 a.m. The statement adds a venue of the ceremony is the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, Delta State Branch Hosaba, which will commence at 8:30 a.m. It's time to join our business news desk for happenings in the world of business.
Investors lost 847 billion naira in the stock market last week due to the negative impact of profit taking and sell-offs on the Nigeria Exchange Limited. Consequently, the Nigeria Exchange market capitalization, which represents the total value of investment on the exchange, dropped to 55.131 trillion naira from 55.978 trillion naira the previous week. Similarly, the NGX All Share Index, another major market indicator, declined by 1.5% to close on Friday at 97,100.31 points from 98,592.12 points the previous week. The profit taken across major sectors of the market also weighed on the NGX, creating opportunities for market players to pick value stocks. While market analysis shows month-to-date and year-to-date returns moderating to 0.7% and plus 29.9%. Similarly, activity levels wavered as the trading volume and value declined by 24.1% week-on-week and 1.4% week-on-week. Insurance index 0.8% and consumer goods index 0.4%, while the industrial goods index shared 5.2% and banking index 2.3%. The Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has declared 3.3 trillion naira profit for the 2023 financial year. Chief Financial Officer of NNPCL, Alhaji Umaru Ali Ajiya, addressed newsmen today on the development. He said that this was the highest profit declared by the company since its inception. Meanwhile, NNPC profit, it declared 2.101 trillion naira as dividends for the 2023 financial year. The profit declared by the National Oil Company for 2023 is over 1 trillion naira higher than the 2.548 trillion profit it recorded in the 2022 financial year. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Anite, made this known while presenting checks to beneficiaries in Calabar, Cross River State. Dr. Anite said so far 660,320 nano beneficiaries have already received disbursements from the presidential loans and grant schemes, and reveals that loan disbursements for manufacturers and MSMEs will commence next month, following the verification of more than 700,000 applications.
And now to sports. Fidelis Ilechukwu and Ladan Boso among the names being considered to serve as assistant coaches in the Super Eagles. According to reports, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has settled for former Sweden head coach at the defunct MFM FC and Plateau United. Boso was until recently the coach of the country's under-20 side, the Flying Eagles. He is currently the coach of NPFL club of Bayelsa United. Colorful traditional dancers, flag-waving enthusiasts, and members of the local organizing committee of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, Colombia 2024, were among the excited crowd that welcomed the two-time silver medalists, Nigeria, to the Colombian capital, Bogota, yesterday. Exhausted but fascinated by the pomp and pageantry, the Falconets, who landed at the El Dorado International Airport after a 13-hour flight from Istanbul in Turkey, lapped up the reception and showed appreciation to the motley crowd. After a light training session today to shake off jet lag, the Nigeria under-20 girls will tomorrow intensify That's the size of our bulletin for tonight. The thought for the day is next. Every successful person is a product of failure. To end the news, here are the highlights. The monthly revenue earned by the Delta State government from the Federation account and the